You are here with the Grassroots Democrats HQ. We are going to be talking about our path to a House majority, the 2026 redistricting update, and a House strategy briefing. I'm so excited to introduce the people that are going to be here with you tonight, leading you in your Zoom world. My name is Tamara Melzer-Levinson, and I am the Executive Director for the Grassroots Democrats HQ. We also have, and I'm coming into you from New Hampshire. Davis Han, our senior advisor, is coming in from Chicago. Luke Susswood, who is our youth coordinator, Daniela Mayock, who is our digital director, and Justin Kelly, who is our organizing director, are all sitting in what we call the Garden HQ in Los Angeles. We are so happy to have you here. If everybody could take a moment and in the chat, if you could put where, like, any group that you were coming from, what city, what state you're in. If there's anything else that you want us to know about you, like if you're a longtime volunteer like Valerie Griffin, she just came in, and I've been working with her since 2016, and I see James Liebefarb. I go through all the names, and I could tell you a little bit about everybody. So tell us a little bit about yourself in the chat. Also, if you are a Grassroots Democrats HQ fellow, a student that is working with us, can you please put comma or dash GDHQ fellow and just wave and let people know who you are as well? Put that in the chat. Nothing gives me more joy right now than to pass this over to Davis Han, who is going to be walking us through the beginning of the program tonight. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much, Tamara, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. This is a really critical time. Primaries are wrapping up across the country, and we're headed into the home stretch of this midterm election. So it's a great time for us to come together, take stock of where we are right now, and strategize and get ready for the work that we have ahead of us over the next 5 months. So on that note, I'm going to, in a moment, be talking about everything that's been happening in the redistricting space and what that means for Democrats' prospects looking ahead to November. But as I normally do on these presentations on our happy hours, I wanted to start by giving you just a broad-based view of what the political climate is as we head into the home stretch of this midterm election. The political science data is clear, and you've heard me say this if you've joined us for our last few happy hours, but there are two key data points that are the most accurate predictors of how a midterm election is going to go. The first is the approval rating of the president who's in power, and the second is Americans' views of the economy. The worse that those two numbers are, the worse that the party of the president in power usually tends to do in a midterm election. Well, looking at Trump's approval rating right now, it is historically bad. His approval has been steadily declining ever since he returned to office, but we've seen a marked decrease over the past 3 months since he decided to launch his war with Iran, which of course violated a key campaign promise of each of his 3 runs for the White House, and has inflicted a lot of direct economic harm on pretty much every American. And as a result, Trump's approval rating right now is pretty much as low as it's been at any point during either of his 2 terms. And it's approaching levels not seen by any president since George W. Bush back in 2006 to 2008. And of course, his unpopularity allowed Democrats to win back the largest majorities in Congress that we've had at any point over the last 30 years. And just again, for a little bit of context, if you go back to 2018, which was a very, very good midterm year for Democrats, Trump's approval was significantly higher than it was now. His net approval was around -10. Right now, it's -19. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. How are Americans feeling about the economy? Americans have been feeling pretty bad about the economy for a lot of years now, basically ever since the COVID recovery led to a lot of inflation. This was, of course, a key driver behind Trump and Republicans' victories in 2024. Well, as of right now, data shows that Americans are feeling worse about the economy than they did even in the fall of 2024. A Gallup survey from last month showed that three-quarters of Americans, that includes Democrats, Independents, and Republicans, think that the economic situation in the country is getting worse. And nearly half of Americans, according to a recent Federal Reserve survey, reported their financial situation being worse than it was a year ago. Only a very, very small fraction reported that their financial situation has gotten better. So Americans don't like the president. They don't like the way the economy is going right now. That suggests that this should be a very favorable political climate for Democrats. And if you look at the generic ballot polls, you're seeing that borne out. In the last month or two, Democrats have gone from a modest lead on the generic ballot on average to opening up a very, very significant lead. Pretty much every poll, with the exception of a few key outliers that we've seen in the last 2 months, has shown Democrats with a lead of at least 6, 7, or 8 points on the generic ballot. Some polls are showing them even with a lead of 10 points or larger. And if, again, look back to 2018, at this point, Democrats only had a 3 to 4% lead on average on the generic ballot. They later won the popular vote by 8.4%, which is right around what the average that we're seeing on the generic ballot is right now. And there's reason to believe that the climate could get more favorable for Democrats as we get closer to November. That is usually what happens in a midterm, because when Americans are dissatisfied with the broader conditions in the country, it's unlikely that those conditions are going to improve significantly over a span of just 4 or 5 months. So, because of all of this background, the conventional wisdom up until 2 months ago was basically the Democrats were all but certain to win back the House this November. And the other reason for that was because we had essentially fought Republicans to a draw on redistricting. Of course, last year, Republicans started doing something truly unprecedented in American political history, recognizing that the agenda they were implementing was historically unpopular with American voters and was not aligning with their campaign promises in 2024. Republicans decided that they were just going to go into every state where they control both the legislature and the governorship and redraw as many districts as they could to get rid of Democratic seats and create new Republican seats. Before last year, there were pretty much only two modern instances of any state voluntarily, without a court order, deciding to redraw their districts mid-decade. This was truly unprecedented. It was a brazen anti-democratic power grab, but Democrats fought back. We all banded together. We passed Prop 50 in California. That map should give Democrats up to 5 new seats, and we'll talk about a couple of those races later on tonight. And then we did the same thing in Virginia. This April, we passed a ballot measure that created a new map in Virginia that gave Democrats the potential to flip up to 4 seats from red to blue. 3 million Virginians came out and voted in that race and decisively voted to approve that measure. Again, a big difference between the way that we did this and the way that Republicans did it is we got voters' approval. But nonetheless, that is not the reality that we're living in today. So what happened? We've gotten a couple of pretty disastrous anti-democratic court rulings over the course of the last 2 months. First, the state Supreme Court in Virginia overturned the will of those 3.1 million Virginia voters. Other than 2000 election is its own beast, but I can't think of another instance in American history where a court has directly overturned the will of millions of voters after they have expressed their clear preference in a democratic election. This was truly unprecedented. The court overturned the ballot measure on a legislative technicality, saying that Democrats didn't check all of the procedural check marks that they needed to before putting that measure on the ballot. I'm not an expert in Virginia legislative procedure, so I can't speak to the merits of that, but there are a lot of legal experts who have said that that was a pretty dubious ruling by the Virginia Supreme Court. But unfortunately, that's a state Supreme Court ruling interpreting state law. There's nothing that we can do about it at this point. And then we got an even more disastrous ruling from the United States Supreme Court. A little bit of background. This case was called Louisiana v. Callais, and it concerns Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is a pretty simple provision, actually. It just says that states cannot implement election laws or voting rules that result in racial discrimination. And up until 2 months ago, federal courts across the country, including the Supreme Court, had interpreted this provision as prohibiting something called racial vote dilution. And they had struck down congressional maps in the past that diluted the power of Black voters based on this interpretation. So, what is vote dilution? To kind of explain this concept, I'm just going to give you the background facts of this case. So, Louisiana is a state that has 6 congressional districts. The state is approximately 1/3 Black and 2/3 white. And to not to have illegal vote dilution, essentially under the previous test, would mean that you passed a congressional map that diluted the voting power of Black voters in the state so that they would never have the opportunity to elect two candidates of their choice. And 2 candidates of their choice, given that they made up 1/3 of the electorate, would be 1/3 of the congressional delegation. That seems perfectly fair, right? Up until the Supreme Court decision, you could prove vote dilution by just showing that a map had the result of diluting the voting power of minority voters. And that is what happened in the lower courts in this case. Republican lawmakers in Louisiana passed a map that created one majority Black district and then took the rest of the state's Black voters and split them up among 5 heavily Republican, heavily white districts to ensure that Black voters would never be able to elect more than one representative of their choice. The lower court said, we have 40 years of judicial precedent saying this violates the Voting Rights Act. You need to draw a new map that has 2 majority Black districts. Republicans appealed up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court, seeing an opportunity to strike the final blow against the Voting Rights Act, which has been a crusade that this court under John Roberts has been on now for 20 years. They went ahead and they took that opportunity, but they did it in a really disingenuous way. They tried to say, well, we're not actually striking down Section 2. We're just providing you with what we think the correct interpretation is. And the correct interpretation is that to prove a Section 2 violation, you have to definitively show not just a result of vote dilution, but an intent, meaning that legislators, there is no other explanation for what they did here other than they wanted to racially discriminate. And here's the kicker. The Supreme Court, of course, has also not only said that partisan gerrymandering is legal under the Constitution, they've time and again said that it's actually a protected criteria that states have long used to draw congressional maps. And so the court in this case said that as long as Republican lawmakers can plausibly say, oh, we didn't pass this map that prevents Black voters from electing a representative because we wanted to discriminate on the basis of race. We just did it because we wanted to get a partisan advantage. As long as Republicans can plausibly say that, the Supreme Court has now said that that map is going to stand. This essentially just means that racially gerrymandering, I don't want to say that it's legal, but the Supreme Court has now made it so that it will not be struck down by federal courts. And the aftermath has been pretty devastating for multiracial democracy. Predictably, Republican-controlled states across the South have been moving in record speed to redraw their congressional districts and eliminate as many majority Black districts as they can. Some states like Louisiana and Tennessee literally suspended ongoing elections to do so. I mean, this is truly some of the most shameful stuff that we have seen in like the last 50 years of our politics. The result is going to be horrific. There are going to be fewer Black representatives in Congress in the South than there have been at any point in our history since Reconstruction. I mean, it is truly morally reprehensible, but it also has significant political ramifications as we look ahead to November. The result of these 2 court rulings is that Republicans now have not a significant advantage, but they do have a built-in structural advantage in the battle for the House. They have their intent has been to create up to 12 new Republican seats. And before these rulings, I mean, really, it was a foregone conclusion that Democrats were going to win the House. The Republican majority is so small that we only needed to flip 2 or 3 seats nationwide to win back the majority. Now, in the worst case scenario, we would need to win 12 or 13 seats to win back the majority. But I don't think it's really going to be that many. And I don't think that the situation is quite as bad, at least from a political perspective, looking at the battle for the House this November, as the media might be making it out to be. And part of the reason for that is that there is a very strong case to be made that Republicans actually drew what's called a dummy mander in a number of these districts. And a dummy mander would be a district where basically they just got overconfident and they assume that, that demographic trends that benefited them in 2024 are going to continue to go in the same direction. But the data says that's probably not the case. Republicans drew 2 Trump+9 districts in Florida and 3 Trump+10 districts in Texas that were meant to replace Democratic seats. But Trump's margin of victory in those districts was predicated on him winning a level of support with Latino voters that no other Republican candidate has gotten since George W. Bush in 2004. Republicans are betting on that continuing to earn that same level of support with Latino voters, but the actual election data that we've gotten in 2025 and 2026 suggests that it's very, very unlikely that that's going to happen. And while we ultimately don't know how large the reversion back to the mean is going to be in terms of the partisan breakdown of the Latino vote this November, if we can at least get back to about the levels that Joe Biden won with that community, it's going to be very, very difficult for Republicans to win these 5 seats in Texas and Florida. So while Republicans are hoping that they got rid of 12 Democratic seats, I think the reality is going to be that they got rid of somewhere closer to 5 or 10. So that still gives them an advantage, but it's not as big of an advantage as it could have been. And so I'm going to leave you with a few final points. And then I just saw that our special guest speaker from Congress is in the room. So I will wrap this up quickly so you can hear from him. But it is not all doom and gloom. Democrats are still the clear front runners to win back the House this November, but there are a couple of things that we do need to keep in mind. Of course, Republicans have given themselves a bit of an advantage with redistricting, and they're not going to stop there. We've already seen in primaries they've been deploying tactics like changing precinct locations on election day to try and confuse voters or just discourage them from even trying to vote at all. And they might get some help from the Supreme Court, who seems poised to invent some legal rationale that is beyond my imagination to say that mail ballots received after Election Day can't be counted. We need to be ready for that to come down. We need to be ready for whatever other tactics that they have in store. And the way that we do that is by talking to our supporters frequently and early to make sure they have all the most up-to-date information that they need on where, when, and how to cast their ballot. The other thing that we need to be doing is having conversations with those millions of voters who took a chance on voting for Trump in 2024 and now have buyer's remorse because he hasn't delivered on any of the lies that he fed to them. There's a very real risk that those voters are just going to stay home and become disaffected non-voters. The way that we get them to actually realize that there are Democratic candidates who are fighting for a lower cost of living for them, who are fighting for more opportunities and a more prosperous future for them, is through those actual direct conversations that we have when we knock doors, when we make phone calls. So if there's anything that you take away from this presentation, it's that it is not all doom and gloom. Democrats, despite what has happened with redistricting, are still favored to win the House this November, but it's going to take us continuing to work, continuing to contact voters, doubling down on all the work that we've been doing over the last few months. That is going to be the key to us winning and defeating whatever voter suppression the Republicans try and throw our way. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Daniela Mayock, who's going to introduce our special guest speaker.
Thank you so much, Davis. Fantastic presentation. I am thrilled to announce Representative George Whitesides, who is a representative congressman for District 27 in California. He's a problem solver, an innovator, and a community leader who spent his career creating jobs, advancing space innovation, and serving California communities. From being chief of staff at NASA to creating more than 700 jobs in the Antelope Valley as CEO of Virgin Galactic, he's focused on building opportunity and delivering results. And now in Congress, Representative Whitesides is fighting for public safety, economic growth, and climate resilience, helping communities recover from devastating wildfires while working to prevent future crises. The GDHQ is proud to have worked on his campaign in 2024, where we flipped that seat from red to blue. He's done incredible work in Congress, and we are so happy that he's here with us tonight.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yes, we
Okay,
can hear
great.
you.
Well, hello, Democrats. Hello, GDHQ. It's so great to be with you. I'm so honored to be with the most powerful grassroots group there is, and so proud to partner with you again as we work to take back the House. For those of you who don't know, I'm George, and so many of you worked so much to help us flip the 27th district in California. I see Nadia's on, and everybody's known Nadia too, and everybody. I'm just so grateful to all of you for everything you do. Look, folks, it's all on the line, right? We were on, they're voting to put $70 billion more into ICE and Border Patrol, and we're losing these votes. They're ripping $1 trillion out of healthcare. They're ripping $300 billion from food assistance. They're destroying our international relationships. They're putting so many people out of healthcare. They're doubling the cost of gas. They're increasing the cost of food. They're mismanaging basic public health. People are getting diseases. Kids are suffering from all these decisions. It's a total disaster, and we know that the only way forward is to inspire our neighbors and to get them to come out and vote in overwhelming numbers this fall, so that we take back the House of Representatives, and also the Senate. Let's do that too at the same time. Let's do both of those things. But we know that the pathway to the House and to a Democratic speaker is through two things. Number one, we have to make sure that we protect our frontliners in California. That's, in particular, Dave Min, Adam Gray. And it's also winning these new seats that are open in California, which Grassroots Dems, I know, is doing so much work for right now. I know we have one of those Dems now identified, and we're waiting on the second one. And then we've got all these other amazing candidates across the country. Today, I wanted to share with you that we had the privilege of meeting the 20 to 30 red to blue candidates. They came to the Democratic caucus meeting today, and we met them and we heard their stories. The first Navajo Native American, is going to go to Congress. Amazing military leaders are going to go to Congress. Teachers, social workers, even a quinceañera singer. For those of you who don't, Bobby Polito. I know that there are probably some Bobby Polito singers out there, or fans out there. We have amazing people who are going to win district after district after district. But the only way they can do that is if we all work together. What we saw in the 27th district was when we work our guts out, we will win. And I know many of you did canvassing up in Palmdale on 110-degree days. Many of you wrote your postcards until your hands cramped. People did phone calls until they were blue in the face, and I know it was hard, but we did it, and it worked, and it was a team effort, and we can do that. We replicate that with the incredible drive and organization capability of GDHQ and affiliated organizations. And when we do that, when we organize and when we don't lose hope and when we work together in a positive way that affects change and that brings a sense of hope to our neighbors, we will win those races up and down the ballot and across the country. And when we do, we will be able to stop Donald Trump's, immoral, illegal, corrupt legislative agenda in its tracks. And that will be the turning point to get us back towards, what we know, which is that we are a compassionate country. We are a country that takes care of those who are less fortunate, and we are a country that is fair and just and honest and kind. And that's the America that I love, and that is the America that I'm fighting for. I'm fighting for my kids, fighting for a return to sanity. I'm fighting for the scientists who work their guts out to try to learn things so that they can cure diseases and who are under attack now a full-scale attack from the Trump administration. There's so many reasons, and everybody will have their own reason. But whatever it is that gets you that motivation, got to dig it out and go strong for the next few months, because we keep saying it, but this truly is probably the most important election. And so we're going to work together to save this country. I'm so honored to be in the fight with all of you. Look forward to seeing you in different places in California and across the country. And we will win in the fall. So thanks, Tamara, for all you do and for all of the leadership team at GDHQ. We're so grateful to you. And that's all I got, folks. I'm just happy to be here, and thanks for all you do.
You could not have said anything better in how you put it together. You just connected all the pieces about somebody who is sitting in Congress, who all of you out there helped to get there. And now he's sitting there, he's letting you know what we have to do to go forward. And we're going to finish off tonight talking about all the different races that we're working on and what all of you can do. We're going to take a moment, and we're going to go off screen. George, you and I'm going to unpin us, and Representative Whitesides is going to be here when we all take a photo. We normally do that at the end, but I think that you have another meeting that you have to go to tonight. So I'm going to take us both off of pinning or spotlighting, I should say. And if everybody could turn their cameras on for one moment, because at the Grassroots Democrats HQ, we like to create FOMO, fear of missing out. For all of those people who did not show up here tonight, who did not know that they should be here to learn about the way that we're going to take back Congress, and to hear from the incredible Representative George Whitesides and Davis Han, let's take a photo. So raise up your glasses, whether it's a glass of wine, a cup of coffee, a tea, soda, and can somebody in the office please take this picture? Because we are here with Representative Whitesides. It takes a couple of screenshots.
Yes, I'm gonna count down. Well, I'll just say 3. Ready, smile, 3. Thank you. And then next page. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Great. Amazing. And the last one, 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you all so much.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate that. And now we're going to go on so we can hear about Davis. Am I correct that we're going to go through all the different districts so people can understand what they can be doing while they're working? While we're doing this, I do want to tell you all one more thing, which is number one, I did neglect, if there are any of the leaders that are in the Zoom that we didn't lift up and say thank you to, Nadia is somebody who we work with incredibly well when we were in CA27. She is a force as an organizer that cannot be reckoned with by anybody. She's incredible. We have learned so much. We also have Pamela McAfee, who is Zooming in from North Carolina. When you hear us talking about the work that we're doing in North Carolina, know that Pamela is not just living there and from there.
Dad doesn't love you like I do.
She has been working with us for numerous years. She is one of the greatest Zoom leaders and phone bank coordinators. And there's so many others in the room that I don't have time to recognize, but you are all here. We're going to be putting a link in the chat. And later on, I just want to give you a foreshadow. None of you had to pay to be here. None of you have to pay to volunteer. You're giving your love and your care. But as you're hearing what we do, as you heard what Davis just talked about, and then you're going to hear about each individual race, just know that for us to be doing this work, it does have a cost that we have to pay. So we're going to be keeping on putting a link in the chat. And please know that we have an anonymous donor who has given us a pledge of $25,000, that when we match that, if we are capable of doing it, it won't be all tonight, but who knows? One of you could help us to do that. But during the month of June, we will be getting a double donation for every donation that is actually made. So think about that. If you are feeling inspired to not only sign up to volunteer, but you want to donate, or you have 3 friends who can donate, use the link that we are putting in the chat. So Justin Kelly, who is our organizing director, I'm going to pass it off to you first to be getting us started. What are we doing, and what are the races and that we are going to focus on?
Lovely. So we're going to talk about all the key House races we're going to be working on this year, both in California post Prop 50, as well as the competitive races out of state. So we're going to do just a quick primer of what each of these districts look like. And then afterward, Tamara and I will also go through all the volunteer opportunities. Hello, Nadia. I'm so happy you're here. All the volunteer opportunities that we have to get involved to help win all these seats. So if we can go to the next slide. Lovely. So the first seat we have in California is California 13. I know a lot of people in this room were probably here working with us till December 1st of 2024, making sure we won this seat. This was one of the most hard fought congressional seats that we had to win in 2024. Right now, we are working to defend Representative Adam Gray, who is running for re-election after flipping that seat in 2024. He defeated the former Republican congressman in CA 13 by less than 200 votes. I think it was like 187 votes exactly, which was the closest House race in the country in 2024. This district is made up of the Central Valley, which largely overlaps with Rep. Gray's current district, but it got slightly more Democratic due to Prop 50. So it's a little bit easier of a fight, but still nothing we can take for granted. And we have to make sure we're protecting that seat to win back the majority in Congress. But with that said, Republicans have nominated a strong candidate in the former mayor of Stockton, which is the largest city in this district. So this is going to be one of the most important races that Democrats cannot lose. If we want to take back the House, we have to make sure we keep Representative Gray there so we can get a majority in Congress. And HQ has already been on the ground doing work there with the California Democratic Party since the beginning of the year. And I will pass it to Tamara to move to our next district.
Fantastic. So I just want to ask my team, since we are disembodied people talking with a screen in front of us, can we spotlight Justin and me next to the actual slides so that we don't look like we are disembodied? I don't know if that's possible, but I'm just going to ask if that could be done. So CA 22, Republican Representative David Valadao, boo, is one of the most vulnerable Republican members of Congress in the nation, especially after Prop 50 that made his district slightly more blue than it was in the past. Valadao is one of the only remaining GOP House members who voted to impeach Trump after January 6th, but his voting record is far more moderate. His vote to gut Medicaid to fund Trump's billionaire tax cut will be a particularly salient issue in the race, given the large number of Medi-Cal recipients that are in the district. Many of you may have been joining us when we were doing phone calls up until the primary, talking to voters about the issues of what Medi-Cal cuts have been. Votes are still being counted in this primary, but I want to let you know that a college professor and a local school board member named Randy Villegas is firmly in the lead. Almost 59% of the primary ballots that were cast have been counted so far, and there are two Democratic candidates that are still being counted and vying for the seat. But many of you may be seeing in the news, I don't know how much of it is in the news now, but you're seeing different people declaring that Randy Villegas has actually won. We need to wait until the race is actually called before we can determine anything. But I do want to let you know, for all of you that are sitting here and wondering what is happening, we're going to put the links in the chat so that you can be following how the ballots are being counted from the Secretary of State at all times. But we will tell you that Randy Villegas is currently in the lead. Please join us to be doing canvassing, phone banking, all the work. So this will be our time to be taking back CA 22 and getting and ousting David Valadao. Go ahead, Justin.
Wonderful. So if we can move to the next slide. Wonderful. So our next seat is California 45, which is the second Democratic incumbent that we are working to defend in 2026, who we helped elect in 2024, which is Representative Derek Tran. This is another seat, just like CA 13, that we cannot afford to lose if we're going to win the majority. He was one of the closest races as well in 2024 in the country. We were working there doing ballot curing phone banks. I'm sure a lot of you guys were down in the district doing ballot curing. in 2024, all the way past election day, when the race was called, Rep. Tran won just by over 600 votes, which was the second closest House race in the country after CA 13. So these two races we have to defend were the two closest in the country in 2024. Like California 13, Rep. Tran's seat got slightly bluer thanks to Prop 50. But again, it's going to be a really, really tough battle, and we have to make sure that we are reelecting him if we want to take back the House. And the Republicans advanced a strong candidate in Cerritos Mayor Trong Vo. And the district's sizable Vietnamese American community is definitely going to be very decisive in this race. This race is forecasted as slightly leaning towards Representative Tran, but again, the point is we cannot take anything for granted. I don't think anybody in this group is taking anything for granted. We've been doing a lot of work in CA 45 since January, and we have to be pounding the pavement there, going to the doors. If you can't go to the doors, making phone calls. If you can't make phone calls, writing postcards, giving money, whatever it may be, to make sure that we are reelecting Representative Tran. Because without these two incredible Democratic incumbents in California in office, we don't have a path to the majority. So this is going to be a super critical race and a place that HQ has been working in for cycle after cycle after cycle. And we're so excited that we have an incredible champion there that we get to support, like Representative Derek Tran.
Fantastic. I'm having trouble because just modifying my screen. I'm actually out on outside. So I just want to make sure, are the slides still showing, correct? Yes, fantastic. So next is CA 48. This is an open seat, everyone. And this was an open seat after Republican Representative Daryl Issa opted to retire, or I'm going to say squeal away, after his previously safe Republican district was redrawn under Prop 50 to be one of those that actually narrowly voted for Kamala Harris in 2024. In last week's primary, San Diego City Council member Marnie Van Wolpert advanced to the general election as a Democratic candidate. Please know that everything has to be done based on the election being certified, but it is very clear that she will be the person that we are all going to be working for. While the San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond advanced for the Republicans. Both candidates are already represent a sizable portion of the district in their current jobs. The partisan split of the total primary vote only favored Democrats by a narrow margin, suggesting a close and highly competitive race for CA 48. So what does that mean for all of you? When the time comes and you are asked to go out and knock on doors, make those phone calls and do the work, CA 48 is going to be the district that we have to get Marnie Van Wolpert over the finish line. We can do it because she's incredible. Prop 50 has primed it to be able to make us ready to be able to do it. But this is not a shoo-in. This is a race that we have to work very hard for. Go ahead, Justin, as we move out of California.
Amazing. Yes, we are so excited about these next targets that we're going to be working on that are not just in California. So our next race that we'll be working on is Arizona 1, which is located in Phoenix and its northeast suburbs. It's currently represented by David Schweikert, who has proven to be a formidable candidate over the years, despite a number of corruption scandals. However, he is now running for governor, giving Democrats one of their best flip opportunities nationwide in a seat that was not redrawn. And this is a true swing district that narrowly voted for both Biden in 2020 and Trump in 2024. And as some of you may have done with us in past cycles, as we get closer to GOTV and the end of the summer and the early fall, we will be having a whole bus program where we're going to be sending buses into our key districts from our headquarters in Westwood, and we're going to be looking forward to doing a lot of out-of-state bus trips in Arizona to make sure that we have not only just the phone banking happening, but having those opportunities to go out there and canvass and get out the vote at the doors. So we're going to be super excited to do that, and we have another district in Arizona that Tamara's going to talk about as well.
Arizona 6. We have met this incredible woman in Los Angeles, Joe Mendoza. This includes parts of Tucson and is actually arguably even more competitive than Arizona 1. Can we meet the other person? Thank you. it was one of the most evenly divided districts nationwide in
So
in
stop.
in both in both 2020 and 2024, voting voting for both Biden and Trump by less than a 1% margin. The incumbent Republican, Juan Ciscomani, if I pronounce that wrong, I do apologize to all of you, not to that person, but to you, won by less than 11,000 votes in 2024, but has nonetheless voted in in lockstep with Trump's MAGA agenda. Joanne Mendoza was one of the top recruited Democratic candidates and is running as the party's presumptive nominee after 20 years as a decorated Marine Service veteran. She's incredible. We are so looking forward to be working with her. She is a fighter. She is somebody who is going to bring it to the table. She has a huge following already of people that are working with her, and we are very proud to be helping to make sure that Joe Mendoza is going to make it to Congress. What are we doing in Iowa, Justin?
Sorry, I'm muted. Yes, Iowa. So Iowa won, was the Democrats' closest loss nationwide in 2024, as current Republican Representative Marionette Miller Meeks won by just 799 votes. So this is a district we have a prime opportunity to flip after just barely losing it last cycle. Iowa's agricultural-based economy has arguably been hit harder than any other state as a part of Trump's policies over the past 2 years, which is creating an incredibly ripe environment for Democrats to flip long-held Republican seats up and down the ballot in the state. 2024 Democratic candidate and former Iowa State Representative Christina Bohannon is running again this year, and she should hopefully benefit from the more favorable political climate mixed with all the incredible work that we're all going to be doing together, making phone calls, sending postcards, all the good stuff into that district. And this race might perhaps be our best flip opportunity of any district that wasn't redrawn. And it also overlaps with a key Senate race. And we have another Iowa congressional race, so we'll hopefully be able to get 3 different races in one that we can get some really good Democrats in. So I will pass it to Tamara to talk about our next Iowa district. Tamara, you are muted.
But I sounded so smart. Like Iowa 1, Iowa 3 is one of the Democrats' closest losses nationwide in 2024, decided by less than a 4% margin. The district includes Des Moines, the state's largest source of Democratic votes, and the Democratic candidate, Sarah Trone Garriott, who we also met, who's an incredible person. We have met both of the candidates in Iowa through the Grassroots Democrats HQ, has a strong community ties to the district as 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 both a state senator and a pastor. She has also outraised the incumbent Republican Zach Nunn by a 2-to-1 margin so far. This is also one of our best opportunities nationwide to be flipping a seat that wasn't redrawn while simultaneously turning out votes for a key Senate race. Please join us when we are working in Iowa so that we can make sure that we can take back the Senate and we can also flip these 2 Iowa seats. We're going to move on to Michigan next.
Wonderful. So, Michigan is another state where we have both a key congressional race as well as a Senate race we're going to be working on. So we are going to be focusing on Michigan 7, which is now Senator Elisa Slotkin's former seat, and it is also a very true swing district, having voted both for President Biden and Trump by a 1-point margin in 2020 and 2024. Michigan does have a late primary, which is not until early August. And there are currently several Democratic candidates vying to be the party's nominee. So there is not a single particular candidate that GDHQ is supporting right now because we're letting the primary process play out. But Republican incumbent Tom Barrett is definitely beatable. He has faced protests in his district over his support for the Iran war and has been scrutinized for campaign payments to consulting firms that employed his wife. So this will definitely be one of our best flip opportunities. And again, like we said at the beginning, just like Iowa, it overlaps with a really key open Senate seat that we need to defend and make sure we're electing a Democrat there. So all the work we'll be doing in Michigan, turning people out, will be able to help us do that work we need to defend that Senate seat and take back the Senate, and also to to flip this congressional seat and make sure that we are taking back the House as well. And now we're going to get into what I believe is one of our final states, North Carolina.
North Carolina is going to be an incredible state for us because we can be working on the Senate as well as congressional seats. Grassroots Democrats HQ is already working in conjunction with the North Carolina Coordinated Campaign, which is called, Justin, what is that coordinated campaign called?
Full Court Carolina, and their logo is a picture of Roy Cooper playing basketball.
Fantastic. So full court Carolina, whether you like, I believe that is a basketball analogy. Yes, guys, I knew that. I just am joking with you. But whether you like basketball or not, this is where you want to join us on the court. We'll be working on 2 different congressional seats. We're going to be working on taking back the Senate seat. Flipping the Senate. Bringing in Roy Cooper. We are also working on their Supreme Court race. This is a full-on coordinated, amazing campaign. North Carolina 1 was redrawn by the North Carolina Republicans last year to be swapping thousands of Republican voters with its much redder neighbor, North Carolina 3. However, even though the district is more friendly to Republicans before, Representative Don Davis is widely seen as a formidable incumbent. He's running against a MAGA extremist. Wow, did I really stutter on that one? A MAGA extremist and a former Trump administration official who he already defeated in 2024. And the limited polling has shown that the race is at a dead heat. So we are contacting voters in this district so that for the North Carolina Coordinated Campaign, meaning that these efforts are also helping to be electing Roy Cooper to the Senate, a seat that we must flip to win a Senate majority. Cooper's popularity could make this seat even more competitive than conventional wisdom would suggest. We must reelect Don Davis to this seat, and by being a part of this coordinated campaign effort, we have an opportunity to be holding on to a frontline congressional seat in North Carolina 1, and then Justin is going to tell you about the seat that we get to flip as well.
Yes, very exciting. So the next seat in North Carolina that we will be working on as a part of the coordinated campaign, which we've already started to work on. I think we're like a 3rd or 4th week of phone banks, and I want to give another shout out and plug to the incredible Pamela McAfee who's in here, who has been running those phone banks and who is an incredible activist from North Carolina doing the work there. But like North Carolina 1, our voter contact efforts in North Carolina 11 are going to be supporting the entire coordinated campaign ticket from Senate all the way down to the state Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, congressional races, state legislative races, etc. The Democratic candidate in North Carolina 11 is named Jamie Ager, and he has deep ties to the district as a farmer and the grandson of a former congressman. The Republican incumbent Chuck Edwards is also particularly vulnerable to Trump's blocking of disaster funds for communities in the districts that were hit harder than anywhere else in the country by Hurricane Helene. So as you guys can see from the 2 North Carolina races we presented, plus we all know how important Roy Cooper's race for Senate is there. North Carolina is going to be such an important state where we're already doing work. Our work is going to increase through November there. And this is a really prime state and opportunity for us to flip a House seat, flip a Senate seat, defend another really important House seat, and elect Democrats all the way up and down the ticket just in one state. So really, really excited about that. And I'm going to pass it to Tamara to go over our final House district of this year. You are muted.
With Wisconsin, it's a state that is near and dear to me. I grew up in Minnesota and I went to school in Madison, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a state that, if you have been working with us last year, you know that we actually helped them to be winning a state Supreme Court race. And we've been doing those state Supreme Court races over and over and over again because we help to make sure that there is a majority liberal Supreme Court, which then helps to aid in every element of the election that we're doing now, as well as the future one for the president. So what is happening in Wisconsin 3? Finally, Wisconsin 3 is currently represented by one of the most extreme members of Congress, the January 6th insurrectionist Derek Der, Derek Van Orden. Van Orden has underperformed Trump by nearly 4 points in this swing district in 2024, and the Democratic aligned Supreme Court candidates have won here twice in the year and a half since. Those are those races I just talked about that we were working on, by the way. And that means that you were working on them. Despite this, Van Orden was one of the most enthusiastic supporters of Trump's big ugly bill, making him one of the most vulnerable Republican incumbents nationwide. Like Michigan, Wisconsin holds its primaries in August, so we won't know the Democratic candidate for another couple of months. So please keep your eye on Wisconsin 3 because we are, and as soon as their primary is done, we will be in there to ensure that that democratically elected primary candidate makes it all the way to Congress. Turning it back to you, Davis. Oh, actually, I lied about that.
Gonna say,
This
I
is
think it's
turning
you.
back. I know that is. First of all, Justin, why don't you talk to people for just, I'm going to talk to you, everybody, about giving. And then Justin and I are going to kind of tag team it and talk about getting involved. Number one, can everybody give a round of applause to Davis Han? Because although Justin and I were just making this presentation, I want to let you know that we have an incredible team. And Davis Han has always been putting together the strategy for us and Manu Shishtari as well in incredible ways. If you are enjoying all of our social media and seeing incredible messaging out there, our digital director of Daniela is Mayock is doing incredible work. When we are going to be talking about our youth engagement program, Luke Susswood has been taking on the reins of that from what was passed down from Justin Kelly. There are other people that I can just keep on naming that are on our board of directors that are leading our Zooms. We are an incredible team. This team does take on the need for having some funding. We are an incredible network of about 100,000 people are now a part of the GDHQ's network. We have volunteers, we have shift leaders, and then we have a core paid staff. I need to tell you that we have outgrown what we call the Garden HQ. The Garden HQ is a beautiful backyard in Brentwood where people can come and volunteer. And at any given time, that beautiful Garden HQ can have 10 people working on it, whether it's staff or students or volunteers. And then we have 50 people coming at times. It is time for us to move out and move back into a physical brick and mortar headquarters in Westwood, California. In Westwood, Los Angeles, California. We also have an extensive youth program. Let's say that you are somebody who is not actually somebody who wants to go out there and canvas, or you are somebody who would like to help pay for a young adult to be doing the programming that Justin is going to talk about for a second. I know we don't have a slide on this, but Justin, I really want you to be talking about our incredible youth programming. Please use the link that we're putting into the chat right now and help us get out of that Garden HQ and into a storefront location. We need it. We need to be running buses. We need to be keeping a robust phone banking program going. When we just talked about all of those districts, the only way that we can take them back is if you help to make a small donation or a large donation. If you are moved by what we said, take that link, send it to 10 of your friends tonight. It is going in the chat right now. Or you can use this QR code and make a donation because it will be doubled. When Justin tells you about all of our programming that we are doing now, you're also going to be moved. You're going to be like, oh my God, I really want to help to fund that as well. So make a donation, ask 5 of your friends to do it, and start now because we're going to be letting you know everybody that is actually donating. Justin, before we tell people how they can volunteer, can you tell them a little bit about our youth program and everything that we are doing?
100%. So I'll try to make it quick, but we have 4 different components to our youth program that we've been running. So we have, first of all, a volunteer fellowship program, which we have some of our incredible fellows who are here in the room. I don't see you on my screen right now, but I've seen your names. If you're a fellow in the chat, you should just go to the chat really quickly, say, I'm a GDH fellow from XYZ state and city. Our fellows are a year-round program where we have students from not just in LA, but all across the country who participate in our program, who help to do kind of all the day-to-day operations. So if you got a recruitment call to come to this event tonight, it's probably one of our fellows who called you. If you get a confirmation call for reminding you to come to a phone bank or Canvas, it's probably one of our fellows. If you get a postcard sent to you through our postcard form, those are our fellows. Our fellows really power the day-to-day operations, and it's a volunteer program, but it takes a team of people to manage that program. So it is one of the most incredible programs that we run of students who are all over the country who do this amazing work. Outside of that, we also in California have 2 paid programs on the ground where we hire students from within those 4 congressional districts we just talked to you about, who either go out and knock on doors with the California campaigns that we work with. So that's in CA 13, 45, 22, 48. We have students who are in those districts, know those communities well, do the work in those districts, who we pay a stipend to go out and canvass at least twice a month. It builds that consistency. It builds that mentorship element. It also helps draw more young people in, because what we found is when you have students who are consistently showing up, they're going to want to bring their friends, and more of their friends are going to come and bring more of their friends. It's that like relational organizing piece of it all. And that program has greatly expanded in 2026. And we're looking to expand to even more of those students in all of our districts to do that critically important work. But again, we can't do any of that without your support and the funding we need to keep these programs going. Those same students who might not be knocking on doors but are in those districts and are on college campuses, we have a program where they go out and lead weekly shifts on their college campuses, doing tabling, registering voters, getting the word out about the candidates that we already know we're supporting, and for places that we have not yet had candidates who are Democrats yet. Before the primary, we're talking about the issues that are important to young people, connecting with them on those, and then having that dialogue of why it's so important that young people are getting out to vote. We're going to continue that, especially going into the fall, having big pushes during the beginning of the semester and quarters to be registering as many students as possible on these campuses to vote, and getting them all to also commit to vote going into November, so we actually make sure they turn out to the polls. And then our final program we do is a paid training program we do with another group called Blue Future, called Organized for Democracy. We are about to start our 15th cohort of this program next week, which will go all through the summer. It is our 2nd cohort of the year. In our last cohort in the spring pre-primary, we had 50 students from all across the country who we paid for a training program over 8 weeks on Zoom, all on different aspects of campaign organizing. We bring in special guests who get to learn about, who present on different aspects that students get to learn from. And then they spend their time volunteering 5 hours each week, making phone calls to young voters in all of our key races. Just in the 8 weeks of our spring program, our students made over 291,000 phone calls just to young people in those 4 California races we talked about, plus the Wisconsin Supreme Court election that we helped to win for Judge Chris Taylor at the beginning of the year. In the summer, we're going to be having those students continuing to do that work, not just in these California congressional districts, but in as many of these districts where we already have a Democratic candidate as possible, so we can be getting as many young people out in all these different important races and getting them that information early. So when we get to the fall program and we're talking to those young people, then they already know who they're supporting, and we're just helping them actually make the plan to get out and vote. So if you liked what you heard about those incredible youth programs, because those are truly some of the most impactful programs that we do, not only just getting out the youth vote, but also really building a pipeline of talented, incredible organizers all across the country who are going to continue to do this work, not just in this election cycle, but in years to come, and help us win election cycle after election cycle. One of the best ways you can support is to helping us fund those youth programs. So appreciate you in advance. And now we're going to talk about all of the volunteer opportunities we have so far right now to get involved today. These are going to continue to expand as well as we get more of those primary results in, we have more races that we're doing work in. But right now, we just very excitingly last week on Thursday launched our first phone bank that we're doing in partnership with the DCCC. We're going to be doing those every Thursday now through the election, and we're probably going to add a second date in probably the middle of this month. That's going to be on a weekend. If the Thursday day doesn't work for you, you'll have a couple of days to pick from. where we're calling into many of these really key congressional races, not just in California, but all across the country, and talking to voters right now early about the issues they care about, who the Democrats are that we're supporting, and trying to get them to make a plan to vote early. So when we get to the fall, we have those supporters ready to get out to the polls. So that is a great opportunity to make a big difference and impact now in all of these congressional races. And we can move to the next slide. In North Carolina, we talked a lot about North Carolina. We are doing these North Carolina phone banks for the coordinated campaign every Tuesday and every Saturday each week. Those started about like a middle of May, beginning of May. Again, those phone banks are supporting Roy Cooper at the top of the ticket, all the way down to Anita Earls for the state Supreme Court, the full Court of Appeals, North Carolina 1, North Carolina 11 that we just talked about, and many really important state legislative races. If you join one of those, you're going to be with the incredible Pamela McAfee, who's here, who's an amazing trainer, and you're going to have a great time. I meant to say, too, for the DCCC phone banks, I think I saw her somewhere in this room. If you join the DCCC phone banks, you'll be with Tessa Alvarez, who's another one of our incredible trainers on this call. So either of those are incredible opportunities to get involved, do really impactful work right now, and have a really good time with a lot of amazing community members as well. And we can move to the next slide. And then in California, if you are based in California and you have time to go out and knock on doors, we are going to be starting up canvases in those 4 congressional races with the California Democratic Party. Some of those starting as early as next week, some of them starting towards the end of June, where we're going to be doing canvases every weekend in the northern part of the state in CA 13 and CA 22. So if you're close to the Central Valley, would love to see you at some of those canvases. If you're more Southern California, you can go down to CA 45 in Orange County to help reelect Eric Tran, and go to CA 48 in Riverside County or San Diego County to flip that district and elect the wonderful Marnie von Wilpert. So if you are in person in California, please come to a canvas. We're going to have great conversations, and we're doing a lot of really great what's called deep canvassing. So it's a lot of conversations where we're focusing on the issues voters care about, having really, really good dialogues with them. I can speak from experience. Tamara and I went out to a lot of those canvases in CA 45 at the beginning of this year. And in my 4 years doing this work, organizing, it was some of the best conversations I've ever had at the doors. So if that's something you're interested, I highly encourage you to get out there. As well as the canvases. If you want to do this work in California, but maybe canvassing isn't your thing, you can hop on a phone bank. We're going to be starting phone banks into these congressional districts as well every week, beginning the week of June 22nd. So they're on a little bit of a pause post-primary, but we'll be back in action every single week starting in a couple weeks from now. And you can hop on the phones, and you'll probably be with Pam and Tessa and Lily and all of our incredible trainers to be doing that work too. So that is available as well. And we can move to what I believe is the final slide. And if you are local to LA, if you are in LA or on the west side of Los Angeles, every Tuesday at the Garden HQ right now, we are doing in-person postcard writing for all of our key races. We'll also be doing phone banking if we have enough people here to do a phone bank. There will be phone banking opportunities. And as soon as we move into that wonderful Westwood location that Tamara mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, we will be doing this every Tuesday there as well. So if you want to come do work in person, want to be with a group of people who are, a part of that community of people and have a really good time and do some good work in person, we're going to be open every Tuesday, 3 to 5 p.m. in West LA, and would love to see you there. And with that, I think I will pass it back to Tamara to finish us out for tonight.
Fantastic. I want to thank you all. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for caring enough to even show up. Showing up is the very first step to making sure that we can win, that we can win an election. When we organize and we work together, which is what Representative George Whiteside said, we can win. We started the Grassroots Democrats HQ as a force multiplier to be helping to bring grassroots groups and volunteers together. And we started that in 2018, and we have not stopped. We never had a vision that we would grow to be the organization that we are today. We never thought, Justin, just throw out a few stats. What are some of the stats of what we've done? Just like
Yes, so just
2024 and then recently. Go for it.
2024, during the 2024 election cycle, Grassroots Democrats HQ, through all the work we did, was able to make over 40 million voter contacts all across the country. That was including the congressional, Senate, and presidential races we worked on. In 2025, 26 so far, we're nearing 5 million voter contacts for the cycle. We just crossed over, I think, like 1.3 million just in 2026. And those millions of contacts in 2025 and 26 helped us elect that Democratic trifecta in Virginia, helped us pass Prop 50 in California. And I won't go into the specifics, but we ran an incredible youth program during Prop 50 in California to help turn out thousands of young people. So when you are supporting this work, this is the scale and the impact that we can have.
So I want to let you know that we're going to take some Q&A, question and answers now. But I want you to know that we are only as good as the people who we work with. We are only as good as the efforts that we all put on together. Grassroots Democrats HQ, we're just a vehicle by which we are getting work done. We are a force multiplier. We are a train that never stops and that is an evergreen and keeps on going all year round. And you jump on when you want to jump on and you jump off when you want to jump off. So please, what I'm hoping is in 2026, between now and November, you will all be jumping onto the train of the Grassroots Democrats HQ as often as you possibly can, and you will donate as well. That train is fueled by people power, and it is also fueled by money. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put that donation link in there one more time. We're going to put that volunteer link in there one more time, and then we're going to call it a night. We're going to stay on for about 10 more minutes to answer questions that you have. I did see many of you, and I was texting individually and saying, I saw some of you that were from groups that I haven't yet heard of, that you may not actually be an affiliate organization yet, but you want to figure out how to actually coordinate with us. Justin, if you can please put in the contact information for the Grassroots Democrats HQ email, your email and mine. I would like people on this call to know that you can be contacting us outside of the Zoom so you can find out how you can get involved in addition to just signing up. So donate, sign up, volunteer, contact us, and start raising your hand if you have any questions. I'm going to start with Carrie Klein.
Hi, good to see you guys again. I question, are you going to be texting at all? I can't hear you.
Sorry. So texting is based on whether a campaign gives us that opportunity. Davis, do you want to explain about what kind of changed in the texting world and why texting isn't still available the way that it used to be for volunteers?
Well, a big thing that's just happened over the years is that like voters have gotten texting exhaustion, and they are very, very quick to opt out of text. So campaigns are having to be increasingly parsimonious in when they are deciding to send text to voters, and they're really waiting until the moment where it's just most important that they get out really important information to them. Also, we've come to realize after a number of cycles in which texting has been a big voter contact tool that texting is not usually very effective for voter persuasion, but it can be effective for getting the most up-to-date information to your supporters about how they can return their ballot, or following up with ID supporters who haven't yet returned their ballot, etc. So again, all of that outreach tends to happen much closer to election day, and the strategy usually for campaigns is, if for a huge chunk of the electorate, if I'm only going to get one shot to send a text to them, I'm going to wait until voting has already started, they have that ballot in their hand, or early voting centers are already open in their district. So I would say that up until we get to like September or October, the texting opportunities are probably going to be a bit more limited.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Carson, go ahead.
Hi, I was just wondering if the phone banking opportunity was paid, and if it is, how do we sign up for it?
So, Justin, I'm going to let you answer that question for the students.
Yes. So,
It's only
um,
for students, this one.
yeah. So for the Pro Organized for Democracy program I mentioned, it's a paid training program. So you get paid each week to join a training on Zoom, learn all those aspects of campaign organizing, and then everybody is asked to commit to volunteering 5 hours a week doing phone banking. So that is a paid opportunity. The general like volunteer phone banks that I mentioned, like North Carolina, the DCCC, those are just volunteer opportunities. Would love to see you there. But that student program I mentioned, yes, those cohorts are paid training programs.
And I did just put in the chat the page that goes to all of our youth programming on our website, and you can learn about our volunteer fellowship program. You can learn about that paid organized for democracy. Carson, where do you live? What city, state?
I live in Bakersfield, California.
Oh, Carson. Not only that, Carson, I'm going to direct text you. We we have something for you, Bakersfield, California. So I'm going to direct text you right now. Justin, figure out how to direct text him our phone number. Okay. You're in a target place that we want you and 10 of your friends. By the way, Bakersfield is actually CA 22. That is where we're going to oust
I'm out.
Valadeo. Wait, isn't that where you said you are?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
out.
so I'm just letting everybody else know why I got so excited. We are literally looking for those students that are up in that Kern County area because we have a set amount of funds that are designated specifically for for you and your friends if you want to get involved. And I want to tell everybody on the call, it is very easy to get into the Grassroots Democrats HQ youth programming. What is difficult is staying because the staying means that you have to show that you're actually going to do the work. So we have something for every student, volunteering or paid. We make sure that there is growth opportunity. And for those who actually work with us, we have worked with about 1,200 students right now. And we love writing letters of recommendation. And it is one of the things that the HQ has cracked the nut on figuring out how to work with young adults. So Justin is going to text you with his phone number. Carson, welcome. I'll love learning later how you found us. Who else has any questions? And because I'm having a little bit of trouble on my screen viewing, if Davis, if you see anybody raising their hand that I am not calling on, can you please make sure that we call upon them? Anybody else? Any questions? Leo, it's great to see you. Mike Vorhaus, one of our advisory board members, is here. It's great to have you. There's so many people and friends of the HQ that I wish I could call you all out and thank you, but I can't. So going once. Anybody else have any questions? Fabulous. I'm going to go ahead.
Has her hand raised, her physical hand.
Oh, go ahead. Call on them, please, Pam. Thank you.
Kathy.
Hey, just so recently retired, just let me know when the phone bank starts because I was in sales, so we flipped Jacksonville blue. So just let me know when the phone bank starts
Now,
again.
now, like, do
Okay.
we not
We're
have
gonna-
phone banks? Pam, as our lead phone bank person, tell her, when do we have phone banks?
We have phone banks. Right now, we're doing the
Okay.
North Carolina ones on Tuesdays and Saturdays, and then we'll be adding more California ones. We got phone banks all the time. So I'll drop the grassroots Dems link tree in, and you can find some. Love to talk to somebody who helped turn Jacksonville blue. By the way,
Yes.
Jaden has their hand raised as well.
Go ahead, Jaden.
Yeah. Yeah, my question is, I know for the upcoming summer, organized for democracy cohort, I did get the message, that, for the June 18th one, just want to know when should I expect, like, the email
Oh
for
yeah,
update.
Jaden, don't worry about that. I'll follow up with you on that
Got
after
it.
this meeting. I got you. Yes. Thank you for all your hard work, Jaden. We appreciate you.
You're
Tamara,
welcome.
Any
Tamara,
more questions? Yes.
Tamara, Mike.
Oh, Mike. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good. I just wanted to thank anybody who's on the call who came to the watch party on June 2. We had a great time. And I don't mean to be ageist at 69 years old, but I have to say, I sound so old. The young people really make me optimistic. So everybody, Justin and younger. No.
Oh my God, Davis. Wait. Do you think Davis is older or younger than Justin?
I'm my age. Who the hell knows? I think Davis looks older. Excellent presentation, by the way, Davis, too. June 11, June 17, and June 22, I'm doing receptions at our house. You do not have to donate. We love to have smart bodies. June 11 is with Nick Zatzello, who's running in Florida. And I kind of explain it this way. If we win 10 seats, we know who they're going to be. If we win 20, we start to win some awesome seats. We win 30, and guys like Nick are definitely in. A young guy, 31, entrepreneur. So June 11 at my house on Sunset Strip. Justin, Tamara, a lot of you know where I live. Please come. You do not have to give. June 17 will be really fun because it's going to be Mike Levin, who's the congressman from Orange County in San Diego, who's a great environmentalist and fourth term, I think, in Congress. And our Congresswoman, Laura Friedman's coming too to root on Mike. So two Congress people in one, you're getting 0.25% of the entire United States Congress on June 17 at my house at 6 p.m. on the Sunset Strip. Pam, I love you. And June 22 is our friend tonight, George Whitesides. George will be coming to my house June 22. You're very welcome. If you can't reach me for any reason, Tamara and her people know how to reach me, and we'd love to have you June 11, 17, and or 22. And our famous C's candy desserts will continue.
And so, guys, keep a lookout because at least two of those events that he actually just talked about will be coming to you in Friday's newsletter, and we will be putting them into our link tree as well. Justin, if you want to go ahead and I think I'm going to put in my contact information. Please just text me. Justin, can I put in your personal information as well?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fantastic. So
Put in his Social Security and his mother's last name.
keep on contacting us. Is there anybody else who has any questions?
Anna T, but before Anna goes, I want to say one thing that Davis, you left out of the presentation. You had a lot of good facts and figures there, and you put like a lot of margin of errors, but Pam has crossed out margin of error and has made it margin of effort. And all that margin of error can be overcome by everybody here volunteering, giving, knocking doors, making phone calls, postcards. The margin of effort from all of us here and your friends is what's going to win things for us. So Davis is looking worried. Davis,
No, I love that, Pam. Thank you.
Okay, and then Anna T, you're going to be our very last question. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to follow up on that, what you were saying, Mike Borhaus, because I'm LA based. Those events, are they going to be emailed out to us in the grassroots?
Do me a favor. Yes. So two of those events, the Grassroots Democrats HQ, and I'm actually a co-host on. So do me a favor, and Anna, if you actually text me, because I'm not going to make Mike put out his personal information to a public Zoom. Go ahead and just text me what I just put into the chat, your contact, and I will share your information. Just give me your first name, last name, phone number, email, and I will forward it over to Mike. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Anna, guys, this has been such a great Zoom tonight. This has been wonderful. Having you here has been amazing. I do have to say that I did underestimate one thing. When I sat outside, I did not realize if you could understand the number of bugs when the sun actually went down that are flying around me. I'm a little bit excited to move inside. But having you all here has been incredible. I thank you all very much. I do want to tell you that for those of you who actually donated tonight, we are currently have raised tonight that will be matched by our donor who is an anonymous donor. We end up raising $210 in a non-fundraising evening. If you are somebody who is like still moved or you're like, I can't donate, but I have a friend who can, please pass it to them. Save Justin's and my telephone numbers that are also in the chat, because if you ever miss seeing something in one of our newsletters, text us and we're going to help you. if you don't see something in a newsletter and you don't see it in a what's called in a link tree, you can email the Grassroots Democrats HQ. We are accessible always. We are here to be partners with all of you, and we thank you all for being here with us tonight. Davis and Justin, do you have anything else that you want to close it out with?
All I'll say is just keep coming back. We will be here. We're gonna have more and more and more opportunities, no shortage of work to do. And I think like the congressman said, I know we say it every cycle, but truly this is the most important election that you can be working on. And we appreciate you for being here. So thank you all and keep coming back. And Davis, I'll pass it to you to end us off.
I would just reiterate what Pam said, all that both chambers of Congress are within the margin of effort. So please keep coming back. And if we keep working together, like I said in my presentation, we'll be able to overcome whatever shenanigans the Republicans are planning to throw our way over the next 5 months.